how are your clients who really need you going to find you? And that's where we look to like connect, like, how do your clients prefer to be communicated with? Like, how do they sign on for services like this when they need them? And what are you in alignment and comfortable with? And when you reposition it from a place of service, and that you're doing them a disservice when you do not advertise or you do not do direct outreach or even social posts, if that's how your ideal client prefers to communicate. But those two things need to be in alignment with your market message fit. And that's where the magic happens.
Meet my new friend, Jodi Anderson of Badass Marketing Moms. And yes, I giggle a little bit every time I say it. She is awesome, and she is exactly as she describes her business. She is an expert in paid marketing strategies in social media. She even teaches cohorts and helps people figure out how to do this for themselves. She drops a lot of good information in here. Men, even though she works a lot with women, she helps us too. Take a listen in. You're going to appreciate this. Do more by doing less. With me, Charles Alexander, for small business owners, startups, and busy folks. Well, it's a catchy name. It's easy to remember, and it fits you perfectly.
Thank you.
So in looking at that, you're talking about a mindset coach. You and I met through some group coaching programs where you've already launched some high-ticket masterminds. I'm getting ready to. And in doing that, a couple of worlds where our viewers and listeners are going to be most interested in is how you're a marketing guru, both through paid and through social, as well as you coach people through, as I understand, the very similar process. So we're wanting to hit on both of those. So the first thing we want to look at is you do both. You still do done for you services, correct?
Yes. So I have two parts of my business. There's what I call the agency part, which is done for you services. We also have like some training, and then there's trainings that we do if people want to do more of a done with you model. And then I also facilitate coaching, because one of the biggest things I find, and it's across the board, but I think also my passion and my heart is that for women, they tend to hide in a closet, so to speak, like you're in right now, and work on their business, but they do it in isolation, or they hover in groups in the background and try to figure out which of the 20 modules they should be taking to know what to do next to really grow. Because if more people actually knew what they did and what they were brilliant at, their business would take off, and they feel that and they believe that, but they hide until it's quote unquote ready, right?
Sure.
They suffer with imposter syndrome. They suffer with just not feeling good enough, or what will people think? And the problem is it's a catch-22, because if you never put yourself out there, you'll never get to that point of being established and feeling comfortable letting people know. So it's this cycle that they get in, or they get confused with, like I call it the social media spin of, well, I should be doing these 20 different things and I can't do all of them. And I'm confused and I'm not techie and all of that. In addition to just the self-doubt you have of like, am I really the person that should be a coach, should be a consultant? Do I really know what I'm doing? Even though you're brilliant, everyone has those fears. So I find when I come in to do coaching with them, it really is, I always envision it kind of like being a bartender. Like, you may be here for a drink, but you're also needing to talk through some stuff. And you're here for community and for support. And I actually had someone text me today and say, I've loved working with you, because you're that person that every time I feel like I'm going to give up on my business, you're right there reminding me of how brilliant I am. And the fact that I didn't give up, now I've accomplished this huge thing. And just, thank you for that. And so it's definitely, and I'm sure you've experienced this too, it's that balance where, yes, they want the tactics and strategy, but more than anything, it's reinforcing the belief in themselves. And sometimes as a coach, you can see things in them that they can't see, or they're just this far from that thing that's really going to set them apart and set them up for success.
So in looking at the different clients that you've got, the done for you and the done with you, so let's take a look real quick at the done for you folks. Are they a little more established? And in looking at that, if I already have an existing business and I'm looking at paid traffic or social, which do I start with? Do I start with both? Is that a loaded question that doesn't have a right answer?
Yeah, I think I always like to like fall back on a 7 habits principle, like start with the end in mind, right? So what is it they really want to accomplish with their business? What is that revenue goal, and what does that equate to for a client goal based on how their offers are structured? Do they need 5 clients to fulfill their monthly income goals or annual
Mm-hmm.
income goals? Do they need 40 or 50? Are they looking to drive a membership with maybe a lower ticket and a lot of people? So I look at their offer and business structure first before. I don't think it's a clear cut, hey, you're a coach, you should do
Sure.
X first. I think, hey, you have a business of any kind, you need visibility of some type. But that's where the commonality stops. And then you really need to figure out, because I don't believe in marketing for marketing's sake.
Mm-hmm.
Everything should be intentional. So like I run a marketing agency. I have very few posts on our social pages, but I run an agency that helps people. I don't run ads for my agency, yet I run an ads agency that's
Sure.
running ads for other people. Because for my business model and how many clients we need, I don't need to spend thousands of dollars in ads because I already have the monthly recurring revenue through relationships, through referrals, through doing some summits and strategic outreach.
Mm-hmm.
I have all the clients I need.
That's
And
awesome.
our coaches and consultants can do the same thing. So we have some clients who are looking to onboard a larger volume of people, or they have a really high ticket thing and they don't want to do all of the direct outreach. So they prefer to invest in ads. So I like to look at it like a triangle. You have, time, money, and resources. And resources are typically people. You need 2 of the 3. And if one falters, you're going to need more of one of the other. So for our clients who do have a $30,000 ad budget and they want 2,000 people registered for a masterclass to do a 5-day live launch, which is a very popular model, that works for them. They convert 2%. Like some people might think that's low, but it's typical in those large launch models. But they're converting people for $15,000, $20,000 programs. They invested $30,000, which seems like crazy, but they're bringing in $600,000, $700,000 on the back end of that launch.
Pretty good deal.
Even with a 2% close rate. So that works. People are always like, what's working now? I'm like, everything works. Everything works for the right situation. So you need to figure out as a coach, like what is in alignment for you and for your buyer.
I think that's probably one of the biggest things I've seen folks really misunderstand about paid advertising or paid ads, period, is that they don't really have an end in mind. They just want as many as they can get. Just give me the leads, I'll close them. And they don't really connect it to the exact revenue they have, the ROI that they need. Most of them think that they'll get ROI day one without any testing or thought or effort of what their offer is. Their offer isn't right. Their offer is, they hadn't really scaled it much before. And then they blame the poor ad agency for not making it a magic
Facebook
wand.
ads don't work. I tried them. They didn't work for me.
Right. Over and over.
Right. And it's the same thing for like organic, posting on organic. Like I did all the videos, I danced on TikTok and it didn't work for me. Or I did direct outreach and I DM'd 1 million people and it didn't work for me. Every single one of those tactics, webinar funnels, paid workshops, 1-day summits, 5-day summits, like all of the things work. The 100 different strategies and tactics that everybody goes on. Evergreen works. Live launching with cart closing works. What's, again, the most important is that you need to select something that's in alignment with who you are and what you're comfortable doing and fulfilling on. Because if you're not, you're going to half-ass it, for lack of a better term. You're going to half commit, and then that will never work. So if you are dead set against like direct outreach and DMing people, it won't work for you. Even if you try it, even if you commit for 10 whole days, it's not going to work for you. If you have this belief that it's slimy, it's salesy, it's this, and there's a lot of people who do. So I was able to switch someone's mind because they're like, I want to be one of those people. I'm like, let's look at it more of a form of service. Because again, like I've been in marketing for a long time. I don't like to think of myself as someone who's, when I was an email marketer, you spam people all the time. It's like, no, I invite people to an opportunity that will help save their business. Like at that point, I was working in data protection, software sales. Like, doesn't seem exciting. But 80% of small businesses who get breached go out of business. So for me, it was like, yes, I'm email marketing these people. I'm trying to come up with things that are interesting, intriguing, but it's of service, because if they don't get our product, their business is at risk. So as a coach, it's the same thing.
Yep.
By hiding and not doing things that maybe you're a little uncomfortable with, or, truly committing to trying to do something. Same thing with ads. Oh, I hate all the ads I see. They're so annoying. I don't want to be one of those people. Okay. How are the people who need you supposed to find you? Magically. If you're not doing things that will make you visible, if you're not participating maybe in someone else's summit, being a guest on a podcast, doing direct outreach, running ads, doing a combination of something, how are your clients who really need you going to find you? And that's where we look to connect, how do your clients prefer to be communicated with? How do they sign on for services like this when they need them? And what are you in alignment and comfortable with? And when you reposition it from a place of service, and that you're doing them a disservice when you do not advertise, or you do not do direct outreach, or even social posts, if that's how your ideal client prefers to communicate. But those two things need to be in alignment with your market message fit. And that's where the magic happens. So with direct outreach, the person that was a skeptic that I worked with, Audrey, I love her because she was just the biggest skeptic. She's like, okay, fine, I'll give it a try. I'll trust you. And 42% of people accepted her connection request on LinkedIn.
Wow.
And of those, 20% were actually responding to her, thanking her for the connection. And then I think half of those were requesting to meet with her. And this is from someone who thought, oh, this will never work, and I don't want to be one of those people. She's like, I can't believe people are thanking me for reaching out, or thanking me for the webinar that I'm doing, or the resource I'm offering. And all of it with the right positioning doesn't sound like a pitch. And she's a mindset and financial coach. And one of the first things she says in her message is don't worry, I don't have a portfolio to sell you. That's not why I'm here. I'm really here to just educate women about their financial futures and securities. I don't have an investment fund. I'm not selling insurance. I just really want to make sure that women feel empowered to manage their own money. If you're on board with that, I'd love to connect with you. So again, it's just being very honest and transparent about who and why are you there to serve, and be an advocate for the person that you're reaching out to.
So you said a couple of really important things there. First and foremost, reach out to your potential clients in a way they like being.
Yes.
15 TikTok videos and nobody responded.
Oh, I'm losing you. I can't hear the brilliant things that you're saying right now.
How about now?
I hear you and see you now. Yes.
All right. So sorry. Closet Wi-Fi, am I right? So going back, you got to reach out to people in a manner in which they're used to hearing from you, or they want to hear from you.
Mm-hmm.
TikTok might not have been that right avenue for the first person, or let's say somebody's, on LinkedIn, but they're ready to and responsive to you. But then secondly, it has to align with what you're comfortable with.
Yes.
And that's what so many people misunderstand. We tried that. I knew it wouldn't work. Well, you sent it into the digital gods. They made sure it didn't work.
What you believe, you will make true.
That's a fact. And it works all the way through any part of this. So, and I love the fact that you got to make sure that those two things are right up there first. And then I think you had also mentioned you got to get the offer right. It can't be just a confusing offer, an open-ended offer, or an offer that doesn't align with what they're actually having issues with or what they want to become.
Yes. Yeah, it's that message market fit. And I think one of the easiest shortcuts to that for our clients when we're writing ad copy for Facebook ads or writing this intro message to get an accepted connection is, how can you position yourself as an advocate for your potential client, for your prospects? How can you be a spokesperson for them and say the things that they're thinking but don't have the nerve to say? Or when they hear your message, they're like, how did you know? Are you in my head right now? So speaking to them in their own words is one of the most powerful things. And if you don't have a large existing client base, doing informational interviews is a great place to start with people as well, and record them and look at the phrases and the wording that multiple people are using on a consistent basis. And then you can repurpose those words into your social content and your ads and your messaging, because they will feel more aligned with you. So I think when it comes to branding, it's way more than your logo and your colors and a tagline. It's, what is that how does your audience need to perceive you to feel comfortable enough to know, like, and trust you to purchase your stuff? So like if I'm on TikTok, like I may get tons and tons of followers. They may think, oh, you're so badass. That's really cool. But are they going to trust me with $30,000 to run an ad campaign on their behalf? Sure. Or do they need something that maybe feel for the clientele I'm going after? Do they need someone who maybe looks a little bit more professional? I could still go on TikTok and make that work for me, but I may not be doing the silly dancing. I may be doing just short video clips around 5 things you need to know before you drop 30 grand on Facebook. So it's like you can be on platforms, but again, keeping your brand in mind. Don't just follow all the trends, but how do you stand out? How do you represent your company and your brand in a way that's going to attract the right type of people to you? Because you can get a bunch of followers, but those are vanity metrics. Are they your ideal clients that are being attracted to you, or a bunch of freebie seekers? And that's why when people are like, oh, Facebook ads don't work. I ran a lead magnet. I grew my list by 2,000 people, but I barely sold anything. Well, what kind of lead magnet were you offering? And if it was something, running something for free isn't the problem, but it's the pain point that was being solved with that lead magnet. Was it too popular? Was it not polarizing enough to where it was like, it's really should be like something that someone can identify with, that's that right audience for you? Like when a lot of people, especially in my marketplace, I'm a coach. I work with high achieving women. I work with women who are already director, VP, C-level. They're stuck. They're feeling burnt out. They're this, they're that. Well, talking to people about how to get to their next 10K payday is not going to resonate with the people that you're already talking about who don't have money issues. They have lifestyle issues. They have work-life balance issues. They have team management issues. So like really thinking about like what problems are you solving for them with your lead magnet? What part of the market are you addressing? And what challenges do they really have? Because your ideal client has a very unique set of problems that's different than the general public.
So let's switch gears real quick. And a lot of the coaching you're doing now is walking people through this process. You're doing that in a group setting?
I do it both one-on-one. So it's really fun to host VIP days. And I live in Temecula with wine country. And a lot of times we'll do it in person. And we take 6 hours with a lunch break in between and map out kind of their business strategies for the next 90 days to work them towards that annual goal that they have. And we also have group training programs as well, where we go through and kind of walk them through step by step, but in a small group setting. That's
pretty interesting. I see a lot of people that they want it done for them, but they don't want to understand the process.
Yeah.
And I assume this gets you through that.
It does. It's fun. I think the VIP days are great because people are like, okay, great, it's done in a day. And it's great when you can actually spend that much focused time and we can walk you through. It's like, okay, we've got your message, we've got your market, we've refined your offer, and you have your marching orders for like, okay, what 3 lead gen channels should you be focusing on? Which one's most important to focus on first? And then the other 2 can follow, maybe not in that first 90 days if you don't have anything established, but most people I work with have at least 1 or 2 channels already running. So it's usually like, okay, tweaking those 2, adding a 3rd, but it really, again, when you have a coach, you're accelerating that timeline, right? Like I can just walk you through, I can look at things and know like this, okay, here's what you need to focus on. Here's what you're doing. You're talking a lot, but here's what you're actually saying. Let's put this now and document it. And then they get to walk away with a blueprint that they can then share with their team to quote unquote, do it for them. Or bring it back to our agency. And sometimes we'll do the done for you stuff, depending on which services they are. But sure. I think having that roadmap also from a coach and consultant, because you're usually that solopreneur, it's that roadmap that they need to share with their team. Like maybe they have a VA, maybe they have 2 or 3 people, but being the person that has to answer all the questions and guide the process and the strategy versus like, okay, this week I'm going to do this week I'm going to do that. And you're driving your team crazy. It's like, okay, here's a blueprint. Here's a structure for you to follow and share with your team. So they have their marching orders and it's one that everybody can be on the same page. And having it in writing. So many people just don't have their plans documented.
That's what I say. I've got a plan. I just don't know what it is yet.
Right?
Yeah. So let's switch gears here real quick. The topic of the
Sure.
podcast that we have here is do more by doing less. I always like to
Mm-hmm.
ask people, and it's going to be a tough one because I already know how awesome you are at this. So what is something right now that you think you should be doing less of, Jodi?
I need to be doing less playing with tools because it's kind of like it's fun, but it can take me down a rabbit hole.
Oh
So
yeah.
with all of the new stuff with
Oh
AI,
my
and
gosh.
then I love so in addition to just like honing people in, my purpose is also like, how do we get the quickest result with the least amount of effort and the most
Hmm.
direct path? Like, stop doing 20 million things. What are just the 3 things we're focusing on for this period of time, and what's the fastest path to get you there? And a lot of that requires automation or outsourcing and having SOPs and using systems and tools so that we're not making everybody crazy. Like, I think I was fortunate enough to come into digital marketing at a time where email marketing automation was taking off. And it was like, oh my
Hmm.
gosh, like, we can upload leads, we can be emailing and taking people through this nurture sequence. We have webinars, everything is at scale. And we automated as much of it as possible, even with the lead import process and things. And this was, oh my gosh, 20 years ago now. So it's really fun for me to sit with an entrepreneur and be like, you don't have to sit on LinkedIn for an hour every day finding
Sure.
what 30 people am I going to send connection requests to today. We go in, we grab your list, we put it in a system, it automates it. It takes that top of funnel part away from you. You only deal with the people who actually responded. It's like, let's simplify things. And so what I need to be doing less of is that I love and are fascinated just by the industry and the systems
Sure.
and automation side. But yeah, there's just so much happening and so much coming out that I could be on 3 webinars every week and be perfectly happy, but I need to be spending less time doing that.
I totally understand. I think I'm on an email from Cast Magic, and they are introducing me to new AI tools every week, which is awesome and terrible all at the same time.
Yes.
So let's say you spend a little less time playing with the new tools. Will that free you up to do a little more of?
So one of the things I've loved about this year in particular, and I think heading into next year, is that this may sound counterintuitive to like all of the systems automation, but once you get people through that kind of top of funnel, it's really, people are craving more and more relationships. We were
Hmm.
separated for so long. Everyone's trying to get better and automate as much as they can, but there comes a point in that buyer's journey, and in your customer service delivery, where people are craving relationship. People are craving authentic communities. And so, like with my groups, I keep them small. They're small cohorts so people can really get to know each other. And it's kind of like when I'm in church and I have what we call a life group, and we get together
Right.
once a week, and we're studying the Bible, but we're living life together every week. We're sharing our challenges, we're celebrating our successes, and we're all moving each other forward and being there as this like secondary family, but in business, to encourage each other and to move each other forward. And when having like those VIP days, things like that, where it's like, I think people are craving connection and they're craving authenticity. So the less time I'm spending on webinars with invisible people, I can be on Zoom
Right.
or even better in
Sure.
person, having more meaningful conversations. And I feel like that's where I'm kind of, where I can be of most service. And I think it just moves us all forward because we need that connection. It's part of our human design, right?
And we'll cut out that one last time, but we got you. Jodi, it how can somebody get in touch with you, or what's their next step to reach out to you? What should they do?
Sure. So badassmarketingmoms.com/free tools
Ooh, free
is
tools.
probably a great place to start. So badassmarketingmoms.com is my website, but if you do /free tools, I have case studies, I have quizzes you can take, I have free resources. So whether you're looking for information on Facebook ads, LinkedIn, business strategies, or just to connect with me, all of the details are there.
Fantastic, Jodi. I took a ton of notes. There's a lot of good info,
Okay.
folks. Can't just go out flying willy nilly. You got to not just have a plan, know who you're selling to, where they want to hear from you, and what you need to say to them. Re-listen to this. Good stuff, Jodi. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Charles. And thank you for everyone that you help. Saving time doing less is just, it's the cornerstone of every business. It will
What
really
all the
take
cool
you
kids are
far.
doing. All right. Bye.
Bye.
Wait, don't run off just yet. Do me a big favor, hit the little plus sign to subscribe, scroll down wherever you are, and leave a very honest 5-star review and tell other people why they should be listening. And if you don't, an angel may in fact lose its wings. True story. Have a great day.